announcements here, but I remember one day at Ness, we were at a field trip, and we were at Domino's, and it made no sense to me, but then suddenly he whipped out an X-Acto knife and started sharpening all of our pencils for us, and I felt at home, and he was the moment that I felt at home in whatever the fuck we're doing around here on Lower East Side, it's a bunch of kids, and yeah, like, he was the uniting factor as an adult to a bunch of kids on the Lower East Side, and it meant a lot to the culture of the entire area. So thank you. Yay.
Everybody wants to get on the Van Gogh boat, and there's no trip so horrible that someone won't take it. The idea of an unrecognized genius slaving away at a garret is deliciously a foolish one. But Henry was way more than Van Gogh. He was a genius and a good man. He was a genius locked out of the art world, and he had a heart. And he cared deeply for his wife and children. And I was like a son to him, and he was a father to many of us. There's so much that Henry did in his field of craft, so much that the whole world will soon know his ramifications of his creative innovations. One day, they will know he is the next George Lucas in my eyes. And if you ask him, he would certainly tell you from the beginning, from the Platypus to the Snake Monkey to being the astute cinematographer for the genius film, What About Me? Round of applause, please. And he would tell you from the beginning, every time you talk to him, he would tell you, and his treasure in Pennsylvania, his house was full of records on display, dabbles in VR, and his most notable and exquisite work, his son, Atticus Jones. I hope you know this. Going off script, I can remember the time seeing Henry look at the photograph of Atticus as a child and a tear rolling down his eye. And I thought, oh my God, I've never seen that one before. That is his masterpiece. Okay? And Henry lives on through all of his works. But if he were alive today, I know precisely where he would be. He would be slaving away at his shop on East 11th Street at Snake Monkey Studios, where if you walked into the Master's Chaos, he would put everything down to talk to you, to understand your world. He was simply that kind of man. And now I pose the pivotal question. What would Henry want from us? He would want us to get off our ass, do the work, find the gift that lives inside each of us, the gift only he could see in all of us. Thank you.
That was very nice. I have been feeling many feelings today. And I think it's so amazing that everyone here is showing so much love, because Henry, to me, was an embodiment of love. And I personally was not a part of the entirety of the whole East Village childhood gang, but in the few short years, these past few years that I have known Henry, he touched me and my heart in so many different ways that I could never describe. And I think I could really, assume that he did the same for all of you. And when I met Henry, I was in a very bad place in my life, and I felt like I didn't have anywhere to turn. And I found Henry, this person that I felt didn't have any of the bad qualities that I feel I see in people in general. I feel he was the one person that I ever met that I was like, wow, how can I be like you? You don't have any of the bullshit that the rest of us do. You know, he really was, I think, above all, a great man. And you know, I could go on for hours, you know, telling stories about, you know, all the things that Henry filled my mind with. Because he could just, his mind could go anywhere in the universe. He was like a spaceship as a person. And I don't want to go over the 3-minute limit, but much love to you, Henry. You're in my prayers.
I didn't really get to know Henry for that long. I didn't really know him for a while, but he always, like, for the past 2 years I haven't had a camera. It's been like really destroying me inside because he'd always just go on these long things about like all of these photo stories, all these places, people that he met, and just like really sick photos that he took and stuff, and just tell me about like the history of cameras and shit. Just watching him and listening, Rachel's like, oh, you don't have to listen to him, it's fine. But I wrote a poem, and it took me a few weeks to write it. It's called For Henry. Through an image and a memory, we live forever. A story to be told, on repeat, so as not to be forgotten in the confusions of life. As new eyes light up, others power down.
Hello. So my name is Adam, and I'm one of the many kids who grew up around Tompkins Square who had the privilege to know Rachel, Henry, Atticus, and to call them a second family. To me, they represented the East Village that I grew up in, a place that's changing rapidly, and quirky, creative, loving people with a strong sense of family and community. Rachel is maternal and opinionated with a huge personality. She's everyone's mom. Henry, on the other hand, is always more docile, calm, and elusive. It took a bit for Henry to open up with me, but once he did not stop. Once he realized I had a shared love of the arts, he didn't hesitate to show me things and speak to me about art at every chance. I had the privilege to spend a few hours with him in his Pennsylvania studio. I was absolutely blown away by his genius, from analog photography, video and DP work done on Rachel's films, his animation, his diagrams, and the world he built with Atticus' drawings was absolutely breathtaking. His art had so much depth and complexity. I couldn't believe how complicated it was, particularly the 3D stuff, yet the man could barely operate his own phone. Most of our interactions consisted of him eagerly trying to show me something on his phone and failing to do so. His creative spirit is something that left an imprint on all of us, and we'll miss him very much. Oh, thank you.
Okay. My name's Lola. Henry. I'm Henry Jones here, but Henry. You've taught me how to be a person in a lot of ways, not directly, not by command, just by presence. How you be, how you take things, how you respect everyone. Rachel always said you'd do anything for anybody. Once a long time ago in your kitchen, Rachel was giving me shit about leaving her knife soaking in the sink, insisting I'd dullen the blade. I told her dullen wasn't a real word, it's just dull. Henry jumped in like lightning. Don't do that. Making up words is one of the best things about her. How's the world of Lola? How's the most beautiful girl in the East Village? I liked that one, of course. You make people feel good. Sometimes it made me uncomfortable being seen and asked after like that. Me and you went to Pennsylvania together, a little exchange. I'd go through and photograph years of your work for an exhibit coming up, and you'd take me to get a permit. It was 2021 and there weren't any appointments for six months in New York. It was winter, freezing in Shahola. We start going through and looking for different things. I remember you trying to explain rat things to me. I mean, to no avail. I didn't know what the fuck you were on about. Something from your childhood we were looking for, but the more you tried to explain it, the farther away and more cryptic it all became. Rat things? What the fuck is rat things, Henry? It could have been anything. I could have been on acid. And I've been trying to explain Henry explaining rat things to me since that winter, and as I'm writing this speech, I've been taking notes on how to deliver the absolute strange mare of Henry describing and us looking for his childhood rat things. Finally, we found your rat things, the thing you're obsessed with from when you were a kid, and I'm totally stunned to find out just what rat things really is. Rat things is what you and your other third grade friends called these little gremlin dentist office like 10-cent slot machine plastic toys, and then the little rat things village you created for them. You sewed accessories, clothes, and found little doll chairs and whatnot to make them comfortable. These are the rat things. I don't have any on me, but if you can see it, it's these little plastic gremlins. Okay. So, where was I? You loved finding your rat things. I loved finding this note. It's from third grade. Rules of rat things. No person will be able to join rat things until he's in third grade. All members must have rat things. The joy, the excitement for a third grader still living in such a sweet giant of a 60-year-old man. Now, the reason I mentioned taking notes about this is because yesterday when I was cleaning up my speech, I tried finding some of these notes from the last couple weeks. Again, trying to put to words this strange mare, finding rat things. I searched the name up on my phone and found some notes I'd actually taken going on 2 years ago, this winter of 2021 in Pennsylvania, when we were going through his stuff, and when I got a solid 48 hours of back-to-back Henry. So in my notes, I quoted him. The rat things were very important for me because it was when I realized when kids started playing sports and stopped playing with dolls, and I realized I could keep playing with dolls if I made short films. Clearly, I thought he was magnificent. Okay. Anyway, on that trip, he took me to the DMV. It was cold, below freezing and snowing. The line went on 2 city blocks, circling the one-story establishment in Shahola, Pennsylvania. You didn't mind much of anything. Maybe that time I corrected Rachel, or that other time I blew dust off a camera lens, but not much else. You stood there, bundled in your coat and your orange hunting hat. Stood there with me for 2 hours, like it was the exact way you'd like your day to have gone. You stood there, and I'm not proud of this, but I started to get so damn cold and tired that you told me to go wait in the car and you'd hold my spot for a while. I got in that door eventually, took the test, failed, but it's okay, you said. I could try again tomorrow.
I was a friend of Henry's for a while, in the early 90s or so. And Henry hired me to be his assistant in his shop on 9th Street. I didn't know at the time that meant I would be his assistant for life. And I was, because we would work together on projects. We would work together on projects when he wanted to get something going. Sometimes, like, the kismet would happen and the timing was right, and he would call me in, and I felt like I was his specialist in some way. That, he called on me for the project because, I brought something to it that he needed, that was important. And he always made me feel very important from the minute I walked into his shop, which was a magical place in and of itself. And always was, every incarnation. And he and Rachel were the most interesting people I felt like I knew. And I don't want to make you really sad, Rachel, I'm sorry. But you all, you meant so much to me and to my family. And, we got to do we had a lot of different kinds of adventures. I wanted to make film, and Henry was, I didn't know the first thing really about it, but he was like, accepted me as though I was his equal. He bought me my first movie camera. He was, just, a wonderful guy, and everybody's here because we all know that. And I would have just felt remiss had I not gotten up to say something, because Henry, I'm going to miss Henry a lot. And he was a good friend, a good person, and very, very interesting, talented artist. So thank you.
In 2013, I got kicked out of the Rotary Club of Formative Games and freshly deported, I came back home to the village, and the community embraced me, and I got a job at his place on 12th Street, little spot. And Henry would come in every day for his large coffee, and it was I was lost kid, and when he would walk into the room, his smile and his presence would just peel back the veil a little bit so I could get my head above water, and we would chat. And anyway, I don't think I charged him once for a cup of coffee.